And welcome to a new edition of Reigns on the Cardinals podcast. Rob Reigns, Mike Reigns, STLSportsPage.com, coming to you with we're going to start with a positive news. We got some positive news. We've got some not as positive news that we're going to talk about today. Certainly a lot of things to talk about in this edition, pre-All-Star Game edition of the Reigns on the Cardinals podcast. But we're going to start with Miles Michaelis and his performance on Thursday night. I have to tell you, when the second pitch of the game is a ground rule double to right center, I thought, here we go again.
I think we all thought that, right? And there are two positives out of this, actually. You won the series against the Nationals. Yes. So there are two ways to look at this, right? But you can't say enough about the way that Miles Michaelis really turned it around. He said that he found something that he was doing wrong and was able to critique it. And let's hope that's the case because we desperately need starting pitching.
Absolutely, yeah. So it was a very, very much needed game for Miles Michaelis. He gets the win. I think the only part that I was, and I understand that it's going to be the case all the year, but he pitches into the sixth inning, only allows 2 hits, only allowed one more hit after that leadoff double by C.J. Abrams, but he's only at 71 pitches when they took him out of the game. And I guess that's not the first time that's happened with him and coming out after 5 or maybe 6 innings. And, they got the win, and it was, they got all the runs in the bottom of the 6th inning, so it was kind of an easier win after that.
I think the one question that you and I have asked multiple times throughout the year is how Ali manages the bullpen. And this last time through the rotation, not one quality start. I couldn't tell you the last time we got a quality start, and I don't know if maybe that stat's kind of gone away. It doesn't matter as much. But in my opinion, if you throw a quality start, so 6 innings or more, 3 runs or less, you give yourself a chance to win.
Correct.
And, I think that when you start digging into the bullpen is when you start to question it, because if you get a guy like Eric Fetty that can only go an inning and a third, then all of a sudden you got to go into your bullpen really early. So should you have pulled Miles at 71 pitches?
Speaking of Eric Fetty, that's where we're going to go next on the conversation here. And I want to set up. We're going to play a little clip for you, and I want to set it up before that because every day, those people who may not know, Ali Marmol, whoever the Cardinal manager is, any manager on any team around the league, they have a little session with the media before the game. And in Ali's case, it's usually in his office with the writers. He also does another one out in the dugout, usually with the broadcast people. But our little group, the half a dozen writers or whatever who are around the team on a regular basis, meets with him in his office. It's usually a pretty lighthearted conversation. He'll update what's going on with somebody's injuries, talk about the rotation, talk about anybody who's having some issues that they're kind of dealing with. It's usually back and forth conversation, but not too intense. Well, the pregame conversation on this week, a lot of the conversations have been leading up to who will be starting on Saturday. The biggest question, obviously, since Fetty has not been good, 10 starts in a row now without a win. A couple of those games have been, really bad. And then even though we only get charged with 3 runs in his last start on Sunday in Chicago, still didn't get through the second inning. So Ali has said all along, all week, that they've had conversations about who was going to be starting. So he comes in and starts his pregame conversation on Thursday this way. Listen to the clip.
Hi. You guys are going to ask me a question today. I will give you the answer, and I would appreciate no follow-up. Thank you.
Oh, shit.
Go for it.
Good luck with that. Who's starting for you Saturday?
Fetty.
Probably can't. Probably have follow-up. Just
Wait, Eric?
That's a follow-up.
That's a clarification.
Eric.
Okay, here's a separate question. What have the conversations been like over the last week about how you all need the rotation to look here going into the break?
Ask it differently. I'll give you an answer. Just ask it differently.
Coming out of that start at Wrigley, I think everybody, including Eric, was pretty frustrated about how it went. What has his work been like over the last week that makes it the best option for him to take it on Saturday?
We're going to give him another shot at it.
Okay. Is that... Are there things that go into that other than performance on the field?
No doubt about it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why I said there's more conversation to be had when you guys asked me a couple days ago and then yesterday, because there's other variables that play into this other than just performance.
There are organizational needs that it is better for the organization if he pitches and pitches well than if he pitches out of the bullpen and whatever. Is that fair?
I'll let you write your story, but
Okay.
I feel like I gave you my answer. Yeah.
Did he need to make a suitable change, something demonstrative over the past 5 days, as far as performance-wise, or was there something said in a meeting that you know there's low-hanging fruit for him to improve upon that shapes this?
Fetty's going to start on Saturday. And my hope is that we can get on the other side of what his last couple of outings have looked like.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's on Sunday you all had structured your bullpen in a way that you were sure that you were protected if things went the other direction. Do you have to keep that in mind as well for Saturday, or is that less of the case?
You shouldn't have to. So I will play these games out in order to give us our best shot leading into it. Yeah.
After a stretch of starts that Fetty has had, what do you expect from those?
Fuck is happening? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You're good.
Finish.
No, he's not.
Go ahead.
After that kind of stretch, what do you expect? Obviously, better performance of the obvious aside, what do you expect out of them in that time between X date, let's say X date, and this kind of opportunity where you're giving him another shot on Saturday? What do you expect out of players during that time that you hope shows up when that next opportunity
That
comes?
he reverts to the guy that was getting deeper into games and getting outs.
That was Ali Marmol talking to the media on Thursday. Obviously, a very interesting conversation, not only in what was said, but what wasn't said.
Yeah, I think the first takeaway is the awkward pause or the lack of response from Ali. You know, as if you try to read into it too much, it's probably him trying not to get in trouble and say the wrong thing. You know, because I think there's two ways to look at this situation right now. First is from the fan perspective. And as a fan, we're all frustrated because he's not doing anything to help win ball games for this club. He's 3-9 on the year with a 4.8 ERA. Last year, he had a 21% strikeout rate. The league average is 22, so right there. This year, he's down to 14. So not even close to where he was, and he's not missing many bats. So there's the fan perspective of, hey, we're frustrated. Then there's the business side of this, which is where Ali's stuck in. And I don't know this, but the logical explanation is Mo really wants to try to trade Fetty. And if you just don't start him, you completely have no leverage.
There's
You've
no
lost
trade
everything.
value
He's
right
got
now.
no trade value if you dump it. But if you keep throwing him and hope that he gets one or two good starts in there, maybe somebody sees something out of it and you're able to get the trade out of it. So there are two ways to look at this situation.
It's going to be interesting to watch Saturday to see what happens. And once the game begins, how quick, if Fetty is not pitching well, how quick a hook will Ali have to go get him, and what happens after that. It's going to be a really interesting situation, because I do agree with you. I think that there was more than just the managers and pitching coaches' decision about who to pitch in this game.
Is this what we refer to as philosophical differences?
It kind of sounds like that to me. And you know, it's one of those weird things too, because not just, let's go big picture here, not just the situation with Fetty and will he start on Saturday or will he not start on Saturday. We've all said from the beginning of this year, it's going to be a really awkward year because of the transition in the front office, and with John Mosaic still being in charge of the club and making decisions as far as trades, roster moves, whatever, but Chaim Bloom sitting there waiting in the background, getting ready to take over. Well, that's I just think, you know, I really hope, and we're going to talk about this later in the podcast, but to me, the most fascinating thing about what's going to happen in the month of July is not whether Eric Fetty starts on Saturday or not. It's going to be what happens at the trade deadline, which I know involves Fetty too. But you know, there's a couple other guys that realistically they probably can trade if they want to. But if they're sitting there just on the outside of a wild card playoff spot, you know, what is Mo going to do? I'm fascinated by what happens.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is, you know, anyone that's been around Mo and watched Mo for a long time knows that he operates very similar to the same way, right? They don't go out and spend big money on big contracts. They go out and try to find older, crafty veterans like Fetty that can continue to work. And so it'll be interesting to see as Mo starts to step back, will he actually step back and can he give up control? You know, because the other comment that we've heard Mo say multiple times is, I don't make the lineup card. I don't make the decisions. Well, you're pulling the hand on this one when and so I think fans can be frustrated with Ali on the Fetty situation, but also to some extent it's not Ali's call.
I kind of think his hands were tied.
He doesn't have who else is he supposed to do? I mean, those are the starters he has to work with. What's he supposed to do?
For him to have an alternative, you probably would have to promote McGreevy from Memphis. Well, that's not his call either. So if McGreevy's not there as an option, I guess you could have gone with an opener. I guess. I
guess you could flip flop and put Matz there.
Let him pitch the first 2 innings.
Let him pitch the first 2 innings, and then see if it changes how Fetty pitches. But Matz has been so versatile in so many roles that it's just hard to lock him into that starter spot right now.
Another switching topics. Another thing that came out of the conversations with Ali on Thursday, which we didn't hear on the clip, but was some news involving Ivan Herrera, which I thought was interesting and does have an impact on the rest of this season. Herrera's in Memphis. He's going to DH for the 4 games down here before the All-Star break. The Cardinals' hope is that he'll have enough of his swing back that they can bring him back and put him into the lineup starting after the All-Star break when the Cardinals go to Arizona. Obviously, a big right-handed bat that they need in the middle of that lineup the way Herrera was playing. But also what was said on Thursday, he's not catching any of these 4 games in Memphis, and his catching opportunities the rest of this season are going to be quote unquote very limited.
Yeah, and you wonder because the hamstring issue, when you're squatting the whole time and getting up and down, is that part of the problem? But this lineup desperately needs a right-handed bat. We got a lot of lefties and a lot of lefties in the minors too, and so we desperately need a right-handed bat, and we need him back. And I don't really fully understand the move the other day when Pozo's the DH, because if Contreras is already playing and Pozo's DHing, you don't have another backup option if something happens. So, I found that kind of odd, but he's also kind of limited in who he has right now. So the Herrera, it'd be very nice if he could play those 4 games and come back and join, because it would be a big boost to this lineup.
This is the Reigns on the Cardinals podcast. Mike Reigns, Rob Reigns, brought to you by our friends at the Drury Hotel, as well as all of our other great sponsors here on the STLSportspage.com. Wherever your travel plans take you this summer, hope you look and see if they've got a Drury Hotel where you're going, because I guarantee you won't be disappointed in the accommodations. Speaking of rehabbing players, I think the Herrera news is positive. I'm not so sure that the news on Jordan Walker is as positive right now. He did hit a home run on Thursday night. Second game of a doubleheader at Corpus Christi, which I found interesting that he actually made the trip from Springfield to Corpus Christi when Memphis was playing at home. But beyond that, he's 3 of 26 in his games at Springfield, 10 strikeouts.
And I think the struggle is, you want the right-handed bats in the lineup, and that's what you're really missing. But right now, you got a few guys in this lineup that are playing well, so it would be tough to find a spot for him. And it would be basically him versus Nootbaar at this point, right? And so which bat would you rather have in the lineup? Now, Newt has really been struggling too. So you hope you can get Walker clicking and on all cylinders, because having him and Herrera back in this lineup would make a big difference.
Maybe it becomes a platoon situation with Nootbaar. You also got Gorman and Donovan. You got some moving parts there. But like the way Burleson has played, and played mostly right field, yeah, I don't think Walker's taking that spot right now, but he can't be at Springfield forever unless you option him back to the minor leagues. And if he comes back up here, he's not going to sit on the bench. He needs to play.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be I think you're going to have to platoon and work guys around, right? You can't take Burleson out. You can't say enough about how Burleson is played right now to carry this lineup with the lack of offense, coming through right now. So Burleson has to be in there, but I think you want Walker's right-handed bat.
You need it.
You need it.
Yeah. Speaking of the minor leagues, they want to make sure that everybody had a chance to check out the couple of feature stories that we wrote in Jupiter when our trip down there last week on Rainiel Rodriguez, one of the Cardinals' more intriguing prospects, 18-year-old catcher who's playing at Palm Beach, and then a young pitcher named Andrew DeCanage, who was actually a Cardinals draft pick in the 7th round out of Vanderbilt in the 2024 draft, but just made his professional debut on Thursday. It started in the Gulf Coast, or the Complex League, used to be the Gulf Coast League, because of as rehabbing and recovering from Tommy John surgery that had knocked him out of his sophomore season at Vanderbilt. All this buildup to come back and pitch and make him so excited about making his first start for the Complex League team on Thursday, scheduled to pitch 1 inning, Did you check out how many pitches he threw in that inning?
I did not.
4. So got the first guy out on a 2-pitch, second pitch ground out. The next 2 guys flied out on the first pitch. You got to bring him back for another inning. He pitched 4 pitches, but nope, he's only supposed to pitch 1 inning. So that's always
1 inning.
But maybe he'll come back quicker than his next 5 days. So I think he's a name that Cardinal fans are going to want to monitor and follow, because when he was coming out of high school in 2022 in Indiana, was legitimately considered by most people to be a first-round pick. Now, I know there's a mark against high school right-handed pitchers in the first round, and we're going to talk about the draft next year, but coming up obviously on Sunday. But he was, most people thought, a first-round pick, and then he had the 2 injury-filled years at Vanderbilt. So if he's rehabbed and healthy, I think he's a guy that he'll turn. He's still 21, will turn 22 at the end of July. So I think he's a name that Cardinal fans may not know right now, but they ought to pay attention to going forward.
And we really like to see young pitching prospects coming up, because we look at what our rotation is right now, and I think we've seen that, and anyone that is a fan of baseball knows that starting pitching for 162 games is the biggest challenge of winning, right? Because as people said before, the reason you signed Fetty is you needed somebody that could go out there and throw every 5th day, and he's done that. It hasn't been competitive, but he's done that. And I think that's innings sometimes the hardest thing to find.
And speaking of finding, that's what you do in the draft, is you try to find talent, and the Cardinals will be picking with the 5th overall selection in the first round. Begins on Sunday night, arguably to me one of the most important nights of the season here. And I know I get more hyped up about the draft, and I hear about that from you and your brother all the time, that I'm kind of a draft nick, and people don't pay as much attention to it as I do. But go ahead.
I will make one bold prediction for the Cardinals pick.
Yeah,
they will not take Ethan Holiday.
I don't think he's going to be there.
I would agree. That's
he's
my bold pick.
He's not getting past the 4th pick, which is the Colorado Rockies. They have as much invested in Matt as the Cardinals do. So yeah, Holiday's not going to be there. Kate Anderson, the great left-handed pitcher out of LSU, is not going to be there. But there will be some names there.
There will be
it's going
some
to be
names
interesting.
for sure.
Anyway, the Cardinals picked 5th. It's the highest pick they've had in the draft since 1998. The guy they took with that pick, J.D. Drew. And this is also the first time in Cardinals history that they've had 2 top 10 picks back-to-back years. So they really have never had this opportunity to get a guy. And the last year they consider that they were very lucky. J.J. Weatherholt had been considered for Cleveland as the number 1 overall pick. He falls to the Cardinals at 7th. Actually, they just promoted him this week from AA to AAA. Memphis, first round draft pick to reach AAA in less than a year after being drafted, is Michael Wacha in 2013. So that's how it tells you how much progress that Weatherholt has had. So that's why this pick is going to be really intriguing, because you pair him with Weatherholt, and you've got 2 guys that you're going to kind of build, probably the next decade of this franchise around.
And it shows you how there's certain guys in the draft. Not everybody's this way, but there are certain guys that come up just ready to play. And anyone that's seen JJ play this year, whether spring training or wherever, knows that he just has a different level about him than the other minor leaguers next to him. I mean, you can tell he's ready to be here. And there are guys that have made it to the bigs pretty quickly like that. And so I think he's making guys like Gorman and Sajaci have to kind of figure out either, play better, or are they trade options with the way JJ's playing?
Interesting thing about that is that there's always a debate with a pick like that, whether you go high school or college. And there's always a debate whether you go position player or pitcher. And that's going to be the dilemma that the Cardinals have. And the other thing is they maybe have a guy that they really like, that they hope is there at 5, kind of like they hope that Weatherholt was there at 7 last year, but the team picking in front of you has a lot to do about that. So they may pluck up one of those top 4 guys. There's really 2 teams in play, because you expect the Holiday's going to be gone. You expect that Anderson's going to be gone. So there's really 2 teams that they have to worry about who they pick. I think the guy that they want is a high school shortstop named Eli Willits, who's actually the son of a former major league player as well, Reggie Willits, an outfielder with the Angels from Oklahoma. Played against Holiday in high school. Is the youngest player in the draft. He's just 17 years old. He reclassified to graduate early from his high school this year, which made him eligible for the draft. He was supposed to be in the draft in 2026. So I think he's the name that everybody wants, but he may not be on the board. So then they would have to flip to decide if they want one of that. If he's gone, that means one of the college left-handed pitchers was not taken, so he's available. There's also another young high school shortstop named JoJo Parker out of Mississippi that I think they really like. So, but the other final thing I want to say about the draft, which is two things which are different this year than last year. Number one, we got all excited about the Cardinals having the 7th pick, but then they didn't pick again until the 80th overall pick. So there's a long gap in there in between. Well, this year, because of the way that they didn't give up one of those draft picks as compensation for signing a free agent. They also ended up with an extra pick as a competitive balance pick, which is awarded by market size and revenues and all that kind of stuff. So, and the other part of this is the draft used to be 3 days. It's condensed into 2 days this year, Sunday and Monday. So the first 3 rounds of the draft are going to take place on Sunday night. So the Cardinals will have 4 picks on Sunday night. 5th overall, the 55th overall pick, which is their pick in the second round, the 72nd pick, which is their competitive balance pick, and the 89th overall pick, which is their third round pick. So there's going to be a lot of moving and shaking there on Sunday night pretty quickly to get through this draft.
A lot of moving, and the most intriguing part of the whole thing to me is as this transition between Mo and Heim starts to take place, we were all told that Heim is the one making the call on the future of the ball club.
Mm-hmm.
So in all signs point to the fact that this should be Heim's draft.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know Randy Flores and his team will be out there handling most of the items, but the overall say on how this goes should be Heim's call.
Right.
So we've seen a lot of things repeat over years the way that Mo has handled them, because he's typically doesn't like to go high school in the first round. They like to take a college pitcher is what they usually like to do.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't mean it's going to happen this year, because in theory,
but there also is a difference between picking in the top 7, I think, and picking where the Cardinals traditionally pick in the first round, which is down there about 19th to 20. And the other thing I said was more thoughts. I could probably go on all day about this, but as you know, but the other part of this is too, though, that this will be the last year, at least for the next couple of years, that the Cardinals have a pick in the top 10, because it doesn't matter where they pick. They were not supposed to pick 5th this year. They were supposed to pick 13th, and the lottery ball kind of fell their way, which it doesn't happen. But the rules of the MLB lottery draft lottery are that you cannot get a move up inside the top 10 2 years in a row. So that's why the Cardinals will not have a top 10 pick a year, which also increases the importance of this pick.
It very much does, right? And you could also look at it as a team like the Colorado Rockies, who you feel really bad for, because same thing. They've had 2 picks in the top 10 the last 2 years. This year, they're going to have the worst record in baseball and can't pick inside the top 10.
Happened with the White Sox. Happened with the White Sox last year. They're picking 10th this year.
It's crazy.
And they lost 120-something games last year. So, speaking of all of the draft, of course, the other part of the things coming up next week that everybody pays a lot of attention to, the All-Star game, all the festivities down in Atlanta, including the Futures game. That's where J.J. Weatherholt will be playing next after his first week in Memphis. That did have a home run and a triple in his first game in Memphis, by the way. But he'll be the Cardinals representative in the Futures game, which takes place on Saturday. If you want to check out all the All-Star game activities, we have a story up on the website. Just search All-Star game on the website, stlsportspage.com. You'll have all the list of all the celebrities playing in the softball game, the home run derby game, all that stuff.
There will be no Cardinals in the home run derby, but the home run derby is far and away my favorite event.
I was going to ask
you about that. Who do you think
that.
Wins the home run derby?
Pete Alonso's not in it this year.
And we can all be happy for that.
Yeah, because he'd win. He wins it every year.
I don't know about that, but who do you think wins it this year?
To be honest with you, I really haven't paid a whole lot of attention about who's in it.
My prediction is Junior Caminero.
Okay, one of the last guys in, right? I just see
one of the last guys in. 22 years old. I'm going to go with him or either Brent Rooker.
Okay. So you pay attention to the home run derby.
I like the home run derby, yes, because to me, the All-Star game, it's cool to see your guy play, but it doesn't mean as much anymore, right? It used to mean more when it was for home field advantage, or they got more excited. To me, the fun of what is the home run derby now, I really like the new format with the time instead of the 10 outs. It's just a fun competition. It's a fun night to watch.
Brendan Donovan will be the only Cardinal representative in the All-Star game, deservedly so. I think that he'll be there and representing the organization. Hopefully, probably play about half the game. He's the backup second baseman in that game. And the rest of the Cardinals, of course, will be enjoying the All-Star break and then be heading out on the road to start the second half of the season. They go to Arizona for 3, to Colorado for 3. Starting after that. And then after we get past the draft, after we get past their All-Star break, then all of our attention turns to the trading deadline.
You got 3 big games coming up against the Braves first. And the Braves have been struggling this year. They're really bad against left-handed pitching for some reason this year. So you hope that Libby can shut them down tonight and, you can go into the All-Star break on a high note. And hopefully that's some much-needed rest for a few guys that are kind of banged up right now.
Yeah, it will be. It'll be good, and as I say, you hit the ground running again, and we'll be at that 2 weeks till the trade deadline. You're going to look at Matts. You're going to hear rumors about Maton. You're going to hear rumors about Helsley. Obviously, we don't know what happens with Fetty, so it's going to be an interesting time here in the next few weeks coming up for Cardinal fans as they also try to see where they are in the playoff race.
And who's pushing for the trade? Because is it Heim or is it Mo? And it's still Mo's team this year, and it's a major league decision, but any trade is going to affect this team for next year.
Obviously. So, well, enjoy the weekend, enjoy the All-Star Game festivities, and we will talk to you again soon on another edition here of Reigns on the Cardinals podcast on STLSportsPage.com.